Mobile hunters, if you're interested in upping your mobile game, then head to tetherednation.com and check out their saddle gear. There are a few things you can actually buy that will help you become a better deer hunter or give you the freedom to hunt any tree or any situation. This is the reason why I started saddle hunting in the first place and why I use Tethered's gear. I can honestly say that Tethered's saddle gear has changed how I hunt for the better. Big tree, little tree, from the ground, it doesn't matter. I'm untethered by my gear to hunt the best setup for the situation, instead of hunting for a tree that my gear can use. My current core setup consists of the Phantom saddle, tethered one sticks, and the Predator platform, along with an assortment of their accessories. So if you want to up your mobile game, head over to tetherednation.com. If you're like me, you spend lots of time poring over maps, looking at weather data, all in an effort to help predict when and where my best times to hunt will be. It'd be nice if there was a reliable source with all this information in one place. Enter the Spartan Forge app. Unlike some other predictive apps on the market, Spartan Forge was created from military combat intelligence experience tailored for hunters, and stands at the nexus of machine learning and white-tailed deer hunting. No more man-made algorithms. This is a predictive model based on real GPS collared deer data, historical and predictive weather, and the next level of mapping imagery, all at my fingertips. I've been using the iOS app this season, and it has replaced all my other mapping tools. Visit SpartanForge.ai and sign up today, or head to your iOS or Android app store. Use the promo code TRUTH to save some money and download it today. Welcome to the Truths from the Stand Deer Hunting Podcast, brought to you by Skull Brew Coffee Company. I'm your host, Clint Campbell, and you're listening to episode number 280. Today I'm joined by my buddies as we are breaking down our postseason scouting session in the Big Woods, so stay tuned. All right. What is up, everyone? Happy Wednesday to you. Hope you are doing well. Hope you are feeling fine. Hope you are, if turkey season is in for you, I hope you're getting to shoot some turkeys in the face. If it is not, then you're just sitting and waiting for me, or waiting as I am, patiently for the next 2 weeks for turkey season to come in. And it's probably, I won't say the first time, but I'm actually really excited for turkey season this year. We're going to have a little turkey camp. We're going to go to that Big Woods piece that I started scouting last year, hunted it once or twice, and then, scouting it this year. And we're going to do a little turkey hunt up there, chase some mountain birds. My buddy Aaron Hepler is going to join me. I think our buddy Tom, has to work while we're going to be up there. But I think Chad and Cameron from Exodus may actually join us too, which would be awesome. We'll have just a little turkey camp, hang out with some good buddies for, probably 4 days. And see if we can't put a mountain bird on the ground. And then in between mountain birds, we're going to continue to do some scouting up there because, Pennsylvania, you can hunt till noon the first, I guess it's 2 weeks. And then it's no more turkeys after noon. So then we'll we'll scout the afternoons. Try to kill 2 birds with one stone. And that's what this whole podcast is about. Aaron and I went up there. I've been trying in vain to get back there all winter and spring, essentially. Weather just wasn't working out, or timing just wasn't working out, and had some family obligations and stuff like that. And so finally, at the end of March, was able to get up there and really liked what we found. And that's kind of what we cover in this session, is just what we found on this trip. It's starting to put the puzzle pieces together from what we had seen last year, where deer were kind of coming from, trail camera inventory, the sign we had seen in the postseason, things we saw while we were hunting it in the fall, and just starting to try to make a hunt plan. The cool thing is I think, this coming year, I think I'll actually be able to make a hunt plan and have, I feel optimistic, I guess is one way I would put it, for this upcoming fall for that particular piece. I know where there's some deer that are spending some time at daylight. And what we learned, or what I learned in late season and in this past trip, just makes me feel like I can be really smart about where I'm hunting on this particular piece and be in the chips, and we'll see. Time will only time will tell, I guess, at this point, if I understand the puzzle pieces as correctly as I think that I do. But with that, we're going to just kind of get dived into today's show. But before I do that, I want to pass along some information from our buddies at Exodus. If you're looking for a trail camera, or you need to upgrade some trail cameras, this is the time to do it, because we all know that we have, busted up old trail cameras lying around, or, that are just either broken or completely worthless, like half work, half don't work, whatever the case is. Thankfully, right now, for the first time ever, Exodus is opening up an upgrade program. So in short, this is how this works. You order a render on the ExodusOutdoorGear.com website, and you use the code UPGRADE, that's all one word, UPGRADE, to save $75 off an Exodus render or render bundle. After you place your order, the Exodus team will send you a return label, and then you put your old broken shitty camera in a box and you send it back to Exodus. After they receive your camera, they'll ship you your full order. If you're new to Exodus, I'll just say that the 5-year warranty is banging, and the 5-year theft coverage is just as banging. I've actually had things that had been stolen, and Chad and those guys just replaced it. No questions asked. They have the best customer service in the in the entire category, and I've been using Exodus renders, basically since they've came out. I think they've been out for 3 years now, I want to say. I think I'm correct on that. And I've basically been using them, since then. And a lot of those renders, the cell cameras that I have out in the timber, I don't pull them. I let them year round. I run a solar panel on them, and then I occasionally go back and change out the regular batteries that way in case the solar panel happens to get covered up in like leaves or something like that I still have battery power to run even when something like that might happen. So be sure to take advantage of this unique savings opportunity. Replace any old junky cameras with the Exodus render. This upgrade is only good for the remainder of April, so take action now. As always, be sure to head over to their website and sign up for their email newsletter to stay up to date with all their announcements. I've caught wind that they'll have some really kick-ass stuff that will be coming down the pipeline in the very near future. So for the details on this campaign, you can head to exodusoutdoorgear.com/pages/Exodus upgrade program. That was a mouthful, so I will put a link directly to this campaign page in the show notes so you can check it out there. So with that, we're going to go ahead and just jump into today's show. I have my buddy Aaron Hepler and our buddy Tom joined us in the trailer where we were camping, and we just chop it up, hunting camp style, about this postseason scalp. Thank you all for listening. All right, folks, welcome back to another episode of the Truth from the Stand Deer Hunting Podcast. We are coming to you from the comfy, cozy trailer on a scouting trip. We got 3 dudes and a dog in here. I think we're about maxed out with the in a 6x10 trailer, 3 dudes and a dog. Dog is sleeping. You may hear him snoring. He put on some miles with us today. He is straight passed out. Actually, he's going to look like me in a couple hours, probably. Not going to lie.
He will.
After I have this beer. But I'm joined with my buddy, or by my buddies. You know him, you love him. Mr. Aaron Hepler.
Hello.
And Mr. T-Runs.
T-Runs.
Hello. T-Runs.
People.
That was your nickname, in case you didn't know. Do people call you that, or did Aaron just make that up?
I never really had a good nickname growing up, so no? I'll take it.
You'll take it? You're like, that's as good as it's going to get,
yeah,
so go
there's
ahead.
Really not much else I could do.
Yeah, mine was Soup growing up for obvious reasons. Like super, like original, right? Last name Campbell.
Could have been your nickname
Soup,
today.
Yeah. At least I wasn't Little Soupy, because that was, I think, what they called my dad.
Or Chunky Noodle.
Or Chunky Noodle, yeah. I was far from chunky. I was like, I think in 9th grade, I weighed like 90 pounds or something like that. Or actually, no, I think I wrestled 112 or something, so I was a little heavier than that.
More angel hair.
Yeah. Well, dude, I had like...
Ham and bean.
Ham bone. All kinds of weird nicknames. Anyway, we're getting already off the rails, and the first beer has just been opened.
It's good beer.
It is good beer. Actually, I need to take a drink of it. I'll tell you if it's good beer.
Good beer.
Good beer. Tom made a beer run for us. We put in some miles today, so we felt like we earned beer.
Yep.
And we found a shed in a place that's hard to find sheds.
We did.
I literally stepped over it.
It's in it.
Really?
I'm not even lying. Like he was walking right behind me because we were getting ready to leave. Like that was like
we
the end
were on
of
the way out.
Oh yeah.
That was the end of that section because we went basically out past like where I had the one camera, all the way out up to the top, back, and then we were like, we'll just make the big loop, and then we'll come back and kind of. And he was just like, oh, we should walk through these hemlocks and just see if there's like a shed laying in here somewhere or whatever. And I was like, oh, yeah, and we'll walk back that way to the place where we crossed because you're right.
Yeah, we had to
the
get
water
across.
was up.
It was quick. Yeah.
Dog fell in a pretty big hole.
Oh.
I think he wasn't quite ready for that.
I think he loved it over the time though.
Yeah. After he was done being scared,
He was like, oh, that
that's not
cooled me
bad.
off.
yeah. But we're literally walking back, and I literally stepped right over top of it, and I
Quite literally. Like not like to the side.
literally.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
If I would have kept my feet lower to the ground, I would have kicked it. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
a step.
time's up.
Time's up.
Yeah.
I think this,
Time's up.
Aaron, this is not correct. This is 2 times then. Two quote unquote seasons that you found sheds up here so far.
Yeah. Yeah, we found 2. I found 2 last year.
And Clint, what's your number up here so far?
1. But
2-1.
the one last year, I should have been mine too, but I literally stepped over that one.
The spike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that one wasn't not hard to believe like someone would miss that.
Well, I found the one, and then you came up. That first one, I found the one, and then you came up and found that one like in the hole
Next to it.
next to it.
And that one was buried, so I don't even know how I saw that one. Like I don't
know.
saw
We were
it.
like taking pictures of mine. And you're like, oh, there's another
Hey, there's
one.
another shed. Yeah, this one I literally stepped over, and I'm like 10 yards in front of him.
Oh, he was moving.
Yeah, and he's like, and I just hear shed, and I turn around and I'm like, where? And he's like, right there, and I'm like, I literally just stepped
where it
over
was.
that. But it's a decent shed too. Be a decent buck next year.
It'll be all right.
You know. But yeah, so today we did I don't know, 7.5 miles,
7.5.
something like that, in some steep country.
99 floors.
99 floors.
What a bitch ain't one.
Yeah. And just to kind of, I guess, level set everyone that's listening. Like, so this is a place, if you've listened to this podcast, you heard us talk about it last year that we started scouting and spending some time up here with our buddy Tom, who is from the area, and he was gracious enough to spend some time with us to help us kind of cut our learning curve down a little bit. And then I really got a chance to hunt it once this year, or actually twice. Once in October, once in January. It was, or late December. It might have been like the 28th, I think. Might have been the date. Still hunted and didn't really see anything. And the goal was really to come back this spring and try to figure out some more stuff. There's really good deer. We have really good deer on camera. We know that they're here. Just need to kind of dial in some places. So that was really the kind of mission today. And so Tom hasn't even got the 411 yet on what we've seen.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
about to
excited
give
hear
him the
about it.
411.
Yeah.
Got some truth on me.
We're
Yeah.
gonna try. We'll see if it's truth or not. But so we started off on the piece where I had the camera of like all the velvet bucks hitting the one scrape, right? Over
That first camera we checked last year on that one logging.
Yeah, you spent
Gotcha.
a bunch of time over
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
general
yeah.
area, right?
Okay.
So,
Yep. I'm on you.
yeah, so we headed over there, and I told you about that area that I found in late season that had all those rubs and scrapes that were in there and stuff like that. So I wanted to show Aaron where that was at, and I wanted to hang a camera in there now because you cross this like ditch or whatever, and you get in there, and it's just like this shrubby, brushy kind of stuff, and then it kind of clears up, and there's like a clean like edge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
vegetation's very different. Like
Is it?
it's all
Okay.
a little thicket, kind of almost.
Yeah, it's just like a little pocket, and there's just all kinds of sign in there. And so I put a camera up there. That's ultimately where we found that shed, but it was on our way back. And so we kind of did that. And Aaron, you were like, "Man, this is more sign here than we've seen like all of last
like
year
collectively.
combined." It's just all over the place. And
I mean,
so
we spent a lot of time in this area last year.
well, yeah, our first scout was really like back behind the trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent a whole day or day and a half like back there. Then whenever first time you and I got together.
Yeah, we were back in here too, and I think previous to where we focused at now, I put 2 seasons of hunting in this area where we're at with the trailer. So
Okay.
I had some history with back here, and it definitely looks a lot more appealing on a map to a lot of other hunters, and I've found over the last the previous seasons that it definitely got a lot more attention from other guys
Right.
and pressure.
Yeah,
Well,
and there's just a lot of
yeah.
access roads.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
dude.
lot of access. And like you said, there's a lot of the typical stuff here, saddles and main points and
Yeah.
stuff.
Right. I mean, I think the nice thing overall around here is that the pressure just in general isn't nearly as bad as, at least during bow season. I know during gun season it gets, bear season it gets, a lot of folks out in this area. But just all the places that we were today,
Mhm.
we saw some human sign, but very little.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was in pockets, and it always seemed to be outside of where we're finding the stuff.
It was literally always like, oh, it's 200 yards out of the game.
Yeah.
Like I don't care
Yeah.
if that person's
Yeah.
One
here,
tree
you know?
stand.
Yeah, and if anything, they're rifle hunting it too, or something like that. So
Yeah,
And that was kind of what
agreed.
I was kind of feeling, like at least the one setup that we found. I was like, oh, that's definitely a rifle hunter. We found a thermos.
Oh yeah,
hung on a tree.
It was like a Coke bottle hung on a tree, and then go down the trail a little bit. A thermos hung on a tree.
Literally, someone had a thermos on the
Yeah.
tree. Left the thermos there because I was like, I don't know, maybe that guy's gonna come
yeah,
back
maybe
or whatever.
because he gets thirsty while he's walking up
Yeah.
there.
Maybe,
Never
yeah.
know.
Maybe he's just Maybe that's his pee
You
cup.
should have
It was a
tested
ni-
to
it
see
was
if
a
it was
nice
still
one.
hot, if it's a good thermos or not.
Right. Well, you might be peeing that. You know, it's like, hey, I leave my pee cup in that tree. That way I don't have to carry it with me. I just dump it out and hang it back on the tree. So we started off there and walked down. So what did you think? Well, let me ask you this. What did you think of the spot that I found this past
Oh
offseason?
yeah, it was tore up, man. I mean, there's easily, I don't know, 10 scrapes in a 100-yard circle. Like it's just it's tore up, and it definitely has like that. Has nice cover, has the nice edge. There's sign right on the edge. There's a nice trail going right along the terrain that you would expect it to. Very typical, but tore up. So I think we kind of both agreed that it's probably pre-rut. Pre-rut stuff going on in there.
Well, what I liked about it
Pre-rut
was
frenzy.
like when I first found it was like just because the way that ditch is has some water.
Mhm.
I'm like, man, if I play it close enough to that edge, I can probably use the thermal of the moving water to suck my wind down, and I can probably get, whether it's me hunting it or you know, because you live around here, being able to come in, like we can probably get multiple hunts out of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Without
Yeah,
blowing it up.
it's an easy in, easy out.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, I mean, based on the intel we had with pictures this past fall, do you think that answers more of the questions
Yeah.
of where they're going and coming from?
It connects.
Does
Yeah.
it connect?
Yeah. Now, which deer it is, I don't know, you know. But what I would say is like as much sign as I found there. So this is what I think it is. I ultimately, because there's food not far away, right? When you go across the other side,
Yeah.
right? I honestly think that's a staging area that they're just
Yeah.
spending time in whenever
I
they
agree.
when they come off
I'll just
when they come off the mountain. Because the other thing is when we scouted everything, you know, we'll talk about what we found further down. But when we came back across the top. And I don't know if you've ever been up on like the point there that comes down into that,
Okay.
but it kind of gets all. It's not brushy. It's just like this weird. It gets really thick up there, and we found like some buck beds
Okay.
that were up there, and it's really. And we found another scrape that we put a camera on. That there's a bench around that point,
Mhm.
and so it all kind of ties together because that buck could come off that point, down that bench, and then drop down into where we found all that sign.
So like here's the
Okay.
parking area, and then here's where we put the camera.
Gotcha.
It's all like on this, like that little.
And I'll
shelf
send you
right
all,
Yeah.
all the
there. Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the GPS points and stuff like that, so
Yeah.
you have them. But it did answer a lot of questions, and I kind of felt that way this off season too,
Yeah.
where I was like, and then once we saw more of the top today, and because we walked that point down into that like little grove of hemlocks,
Mhm.
it all made that much more sense because I was
Very
like, man,
much.
I was like, this is where they're hanging out the stage before they go over, and I'm not thinking that you would get like. They're not going to be there at 2:00. You know, it's going to be if you get an opportunity there, it's going to be
Yeah,
you know,
we were on
30
this
minutes
one.
before daylight,
Mm-hmm.
something like, or 30 minutes before dark, something like that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
2-shot opportunity.
This was your track from rifle season, right?
Which one do you want me
The
to?
light blue. I think that's what you were talking about. Where
Yeah.
we
So this
got
one's
the-
actually on 10-9.
Okay.
I had gone up to pretty tall.
Yeah, because you
but
went all the way back through and
But
through
then
that
I went-
saddle.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
this one actually was on 10-9.
Okay, yeah.
And then
So if you go up to this point, like
Yeah.
right, wait, am I in the right spot here? Yes. This like as this drops down, there's a little bench that's like along
Yeah.
here that there's a scrape. There's a couple scrapes. We hung a camera in there,
Hmm.
and then all this kind of drops down, and that down here
Yep.
is like where. Well, I guess it's like more down here.
Yeah.
It's like where all that sign is. So that was like,
masterminds here, people.
yeah. People were like, "What the hell are they talking
Yeah,
about?"
what are they looking at?
This is what you got to do, though. You got to bounce the ideas off
Yeah,
your
you
buddies.
really have to.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron and I thought that it's probably more of like a pre-rut spot.
Mhm.
I think you could
I
maybe even
agree.
get away with it early season if it's hot because it's typically cooler right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, that would be
Yeah, you have
like
the
maybe a
creek,
play.
You have that ditch bottom kind of or whatever.
My experience early season in there was like, as you like kind of saw, like it's got a lot of regen over the last 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it gets like with all the leaf cover on, and this year I felt the leaves hung on longer
Yeah.
in the season. It was definitely tough going trying to get that early season kind of in that area.
Yeah.
Just because of the leaf cover really hurt you.
yeah. If you just go up that bank, though, that it all kind of clears up
Mhm,
and
okay.
opens up, and that's actually probably where I would set
Would
up.
set up
would,
that,
would be
yeah.
there
On
yeah.
that edge, yeah.
Anything else like inside of that stuff is most likely going to have to be like a ground setup.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, because I don't think you could get a shot out of a tree at all.
You would be hard pressed to find a tree to climb, even, So that's why I immediately was like, oh, and it's kind of conveniently like a little bit of a draw there, a sag in the ground too, to where it's like, it just makes it kind of perfect to where it's like, all right, your thermal's going to want to, or your wind's going to naturally want to drop into that. And then with the running water behind you, it's going to want to naturally kind of pull it to that. So it seems like the cleanest place you can get multiple hunts out of
Absolutely. So then after that, we kind of headed up the next log. We went up to the next bench, I guess, and then got on that road
where you had the camera, like so up from where I had mine previously.
Okay, where I had that on that road.
So we just basically walked the edge of the mountain, like along the edge of that until we hit the corner of that logging road where you had the camera, and then we walked that.
And then
that was a nice. I don't know how it was now, like what the sign was, but that was getting so much use.
We saw around 3.
I think there was like 3 scrapes in there. Yeah,
3 scrapes
like the one that you had a camera on, and then there were like
a couple other ones. It was just like
there were like 2
prime scrape time, and there was just like you just
and they were still. I mean, you could still see them. Like they were still.
There were still tracks in them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were still obvious.
Yeah, so then we headed out to Clint's camera to change batteries and that.
Mm-hmm.
After that,
so we went to like kind of the other side.
Yeah, we started going that direction, and then from there, we were just like, so you remember? I think I showed you. There was a point if you go out there like maybe 0.8 of a mile, maybe almost a mile from where my camera is. If you go like 0.8 of a mile roughly, continue in that direction, and up in elevation. Obviously, there's a point that's out there that kind of has like a.
I sent we can show like 3 red boxes to you on Onyx.
So we started just walking that direction because I ultimately wanted to get out to that point because like when I looked at that, there's not really any secondary ridges around here necessarily.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the closest thing whenever I was looking at the map for secondary ridges. So it would be right.
It's in these boxes there.
Right here's the ditch is that the ditch?
Right there.
Oh yeah. So we walked through all that and then ultimately got out to this point.
Oh, okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh shit! Spilled my beer. Damn, can't take me anywhere, man. Knew that was going to happen. This might be the first alcoholic beverage that has spilled in the trailer.
So there's not too much.
They'll smell nice and funky after it gets hot.
Yeah, those circles that I had marked there. That's all. I mean, the season that was all so thick you couldn't even go through it.
That would probably be accurate. I mean, it's
the way we were thinking of access. So first, so we started making our way out to where that point was at, but we were kind of traveling these logging roads that just kind of run out through here. Like you said, like
there's a wet spot right in there too.
It was
swampy.
Well, the whole thing, really the road system was all marshy today. I mean, it's like with the rain and stuff, it was all just marshy.
Yeah. But like you said, once you get so far out here, like that logging road gets really kind of grassy, swampy, where
and like real thick.
Yeah, which the sign through that was awesome. Like we hit a pocket of like there was a logging road, like the main one, and it kind of splits off like a bunch of different times.
Yeah,
and they're like just at different elevations. Like you could almost, because there's nothing on the trees, you could see the one above you or whatever.
Yeah,
and we finally started picking up sign pretty frequently. Like after we got a little further away. And then all of a sudden there was like this little spot and we kind of both saw a rub. We were like, hey, is that a rub? It looks like a pretty decent one if it is. So we went down and checked it out. And then all of a sudden, I'll let Aaron kind of explain what we saw.
Well, I mean, we kind of got into it, and I guess there's kind of a logging road in between the logging roads, really. It's like one that was probably older, overgrown. There's some stuff in there that maybe looked like they were bedding, but then, I mean, it was just a huge rub line with a scrape at the end of it.
Okay.
Secluded in between the logging cuts, and there were, I guess the vegetation got really thick behind the scrape too.
Okay,
but I mean the whole area was tore up. That was the rub that we sent you. Picture that we sent you from live from Livonia.
Live from Livonia.
Yeah, and you can just see all around that. That's just all that like real like compact, like tight little like that brush that like sapling is growing up and everything. That's just like when you find those areas, you just get excited because you're like. Definitely gonna be.
Well, it's just like a literal corridor between the things.
And it kind of confirms. I mean, you know this because like this, you've hunted this for a while, but some of this stuff, Aaron and I are having to learn kind of the hard way of like seeing it. You've told us this, and we kind of academically knew it. I think that this stuff around here really kind of exists in pockets.
Yeah.
And more and more, like, I think we're getting better at kind of finding where those pockets are at,
Yeah.
and understanding, like, when we see something, it's like, oh, this is as good as it's going to get in this area.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we found a handful of places like that, but the spot that we found that big
spot,
rub,
that spot was just, I mean, it was chock full of sign.
It's one of those places when you look at it.
There were probably 30 rubs in there.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, so that spot, if we were gonna the biggest buck that we had on camera, if we go back to that 6 camera is that he hit in that evening, I think like October like 27th or 28th, something like that. Like he came from that direction when he started.
It's the first thing I thought whenever I saw it, because I was like, for me with trail cameras, it's like I'm all about the timestamp.
Yeah.
You know, if I have deer on multiple cameras going in a certain direction, and I can see like the travel pattern or the travel path, right? And I can see like, well, it takes them this long to get from this camera to this camera. Well, what's the distance between those, right?
Yeah.
And like I start looking, and it's like, and I find the sign that we found the day in that area. He and I both looked at each other and was like, man,
here's it.
This feels like the timestamp. Like this, he would have left here at this time, and he would have made it to those cameras in about that amount of time. And it's not an area that is, like, it didn't look like pre-rut. We did find like 1 or 2 decent scrapes in there. We put a camera over a scrape.
I put a camera on that little.
Yeah.
I did hang a camera in that little section. Yeah.
But it looked more like this is somebody's bedroom and they're spending a lot of time in here.
Yeah.
I mean, the size of the scat that was in there.
Oh yeah. We kept mentioning it every time. So it was huge.
Actually, I actually had a camera kind of in that area, maybe a little bit more closer going towards the road that I had put out, I don't know, in June or whatever. But when I went to my first camera pool, that's the only camera that ever got stolen. So,
well, what was odd about it is it was the only place near those logging roads that had sign. Like when you got down below or you got above that
sign dried
like
up.
in between thing, it was all there was nothing there.
Yeah. So, because knowing that it's as thick as it is in there, there's like we both kind of, and we didn't suss this out yet, but I mean, we need to. Can you access that from the road that's below it?
Yeah. Yep. I have the trail system of how I've gone up it and stuff like that. There is access from that side too. So you can either,
because that's probably how
that would be because you're
Thermos Road.
Yeah, you're beyond the halfway point, like closer now towards the road. That is drivable. So that'll be
sucky because that's like it's not.
Which
I mean,
I
it's
think
not crazy steep, but it's like
crap.
Yeah, that for, you're gonna go almost straight up initially for the first 200 feet or so, and then then you start hitting the different logging systems that make it a little bit easier on travel. But yeah, it's
right.
I think it keeps a lot of people out, even though it is a little closer to access. But like I said, it's
short. I mean, I shouldn't say it's short. It's the easiest access, but it's not fun.
Still
sucks.
Yeah. And like you're like in that time of the year during archery, you're like getting hit in the head with all different twigs and stuff like that because it is pretty thick. Like even accessing from that way too. So
hopefully you just shoot it and it runs downhill.
Yeah, right.
But
he runs.
That was like he runs. That got us kind of excited because that was early in the day.
You know that was like.
You hand me a paper towel.
We were in like what, an hour at that point in time. I mean, that was like 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, well, we checked. We were looking at the phone. Well, because the story with me and scouting typically is that I take my sweet ass time getting out of bed when I go to scout. Like some people are like, oh, hell bent on like waking up at like the crack of dawn to go out to scout, and I'm more of.
I woke up at the crack of dawn.
Yeah, you did because you drove up here versus me staying here in the trailer. But I'm gonna clean some more stuff up. But it's like it's not uncommon for me to like, well, at least around when I'm here, I do get up and go because like that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah,
it's otherwise it's that or sit in my trailer, and I do enjoy sitting in the trailer having coffee.
Yeah, nice trailer.
Yeah, but at home it's like I may not like actually get out the door till like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Have my coffee, read some news, talk to the kiddo a little. You know what I mean? So the fact that we got into the woods early, saw all this sign, and I like looked at my phone to see what time it was. It's like it's only 9:30.
Yeah,
the
whole day ahead.
Yeah, we made a lot of progress before 9:30.
So then after, where did we go after that? We kept just kind of going out because the next mission
That
was
was
to
when
get
we
up
got
on.
up to the top. Yeah.
Yeah.
We followed that logging system a little bit, but then we kind of ended up doing I guess it kind of switches up the hill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, we followed it for like a ways, and then we finally got to a part where it was just like, all right, we're just gonna go straight up.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you get to the very top then? Did you go to the very top?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, before we got there, there's a big ditch that's there. Well, what looks
There's
like
a big bowl. There's a big bowl.
Well, there's a ditch after that camera that we hung.
Okay.
So we get to the ditch and decide, oh, we're gonna go up the one side of the ditch. We found some scrapes before. That was another place we found some scrapes on the logging road.
Yes.
And like, oh, that would mark those scrapes up. Ended up going up the side of this ditch, and the same thing. We're finding big tracks, big turds, like all that stuff. But we made it to the top at that point. That was like that was a little bit of a long haul after that because it was kind of a lot of the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you get up top, it's like,
well, yeah, there was just one.
There's
wasn't
like
any
3 different
diversity.
kinds of trees and just the same. All the terrain was the same. We did find one bench that was on top that looked kind of like, oh, this might have something, but it didn't really pan out to be anything.
Yeah, it's really weird because it's like once we got past some of those logging roads and where we found that like initial kind of diversity of habitat and stuff, everything was just homogenous.
Yep.
And it's like, now the ditch was decent. Like we found some sign as we went up along the ditch. We found some rubs and stuff
At the
like
top
that.
of the ditch, maybe we found a vague bed. It looked like they're kind of just using the logging system.
But there was scat all the way along that. And it was, I mean,
it looked like it was going to be promising. Based on scat and tracks.
Yeah.
And the scat, like again, I don't know that I've ever seen deer scat that big.
No.
That's what I've like. I don't know if this is I know like the meat eater thing has like disproven like the clumps and everything like that. That it's more like digestive health regarding like if it's
there's clumps.
Well,
of
yeah,
pebbles.
yeah,
so
but I think
clumps-
that the size of the actual pellets of scat definitely I think relates to like the size overall of a deer because you can clearly see little teeny ones are likely from a fawn or something like that. But there's some up there that like it's huge.
It looked like
I described like
it
peanut
wasn't-
butter M&Ms, like at least that
No, it
big,
was
if not
bigger.
bigger.
Oh, it was
way
bigger
bigger
than
than
that. Like I'm thinking like a pumpkin ball that you would use like in a slingshot. Like
it was big.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like bigger than marble size.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like big marbles. Like
The
ball
shooter-
bearings.
like shooter marbles.
Yeah.
Yeah, ball bearings in like a cat diesel land mover.
Yeah.
Like I
They're
don't even know
big.
how large that is. I'm just
And that's
making
what
stuff
even
up
like before I even had
Close
cameras
to
going.
the end
like,
of the microphone mic here.
yeah, oh
Pretty
yeah,
close.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
Turds.
Turds,
All right, good. Good. I'm glad it's not serious.
yeah, you find those kind of signs, and it definitely gets you excited, and like you know, there's gonna be a good sized deer living in the area, whether it's just
Well, and I mean to confirm it, we found
Some
a couple
big-ass
of
tracks.
4-finger tracks in there, like
around it,
my hand-sized tracks in there.
Yeah. Whatever was making that was a large cervid.
mm-hmm. Maybe a moose. Never know.
Maybe a moose.
Probably
Yeah.
a moose,
Yeah.
based on the rub that we found. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I guess it'd be more elk. Maybe the elk wandered over from.
there's
more
a lot
western
of
PA.
wandering.
yeah.
I feel like up here, if you had elk up here, I mean, I think they would fit right in. So
I would love it if they do that. I've asked, and we were literally talking about.
We
this
were
today.
talking about that.
and it's the farmer.
yeah,
There's more crop farm stuff around here than there is
agriculture.
out around there, and there would be a whole issue of like crop damage. And a herd of elk coming through your cornfield is like sending like a herd of cattle
Oh yeah, I'm
through
sure.
it, just decimate it. But so that was like the next kind of pit stop is we finally made it all the way up to that point. And there was some like what looked like probably like to be a bunch of doe beds, and we did see some big scat up there again, but there was really no sign or anything up there. So we kind of made quick work of that. We actually walked around the back side just as long as that bench kind of held up before it just like dropped off sheer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just to kind of check it out. And then we headed back parallel back toward where we came from, but angling up to get all the way onto the top. Like
Yeah.
once the cliff face kind of ran out and we could get up, we finally got up on top and walked that out. And it wasn't anything great for like the longest time. It was just a bunch of homogeneous, same trees everywhere.
There's like 0 oaks.
Yeah,
All the same 3 trees.
Yeah.
yeah.
And just no breakup. And then we finally, and it wasn't until we got all the way out to that point where we were almost back to where we started, like all of a sudden
That's when I picked up.
The habitat just changed.
And that's where I found most of the sign. Besides that one spot where you hung the camera, that direction I feel like had lesser sign than where you entered and exited. Like that's where the majority of the sign always was, and that's where the most diversity was. So I think that definitely is in like. Even it's not even that big of an area, but there's a clear breakup of where the sign is and is not in that area.
Yeah.
Well, and this was like, it was good cover for bedding. It had those weird, like those invasive thorn bush. I don't know what they're called, but there's some kind of invasive thorn that like right in the middle of it. And there was a couple hemlocks.
Yep.
Spark,
some randomly placed hemlock.
Yeah. But the the cover was there. But as we kind of got down along this, then we found
some historical rubs. Nothing would blow your socks off.
Yeah,
no,
but knew that they were using it the last couple of years.
Yep.
But we got down along that edge and decided this is like a perfect area. Because at first we were like, oh, well, why would a deer want to lay here? And then we were kind of like, oh, well, like here's an edge of cover. He's got this whole thing behind him.
It worked for the majority of the prevailing wind.
And basically, he was bedded on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
And could run out the end of it, like could run down the edge of that bench, get in the cover, and be gone.
Yeah.
Like, and you'd never get, like, you had to come down the hill behind him.
Yeah. I mean, when we were talking about, it's like you would never be able to hunt him there.
No.
They have so many advantages in that area that it's really, really tough.
And that was really kind of when we got to that point when we realized that, like, hey, the sign that we found, like, all along within those hemlock upon entrance, like that place where I hung a camera,
it was all relating.
That was like, that's where you have to hunt that deer.
Yeah.
Is there because you're never going to beat him. I mean, you'd have to camp out up there to get back there before he got back to bed, and trying to get up there to hunt him on an evening, no chance.
No chance.
And that's why I struggled all early season, was that it just was not conducive to really, there wasn't that many spots that I found at that point that was conducive to early season. And that's where my focus now has relied on kind of finding where the doe are most likely going to spend their time, because I feel like in that area, my best chance, our best chance if we hunt, is going to be that rut time frame in that area, because that's when we have the historical pictures. We know that there's a lot of daylighters moving through that area during the rut, and it brings the diversity to have the food sources there and hold the does. And I think that's what's going to kind of jive on hopefully getting a shot at one this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because everything that we've
absolutely.
seen is, confirms that the place that you're going to get an opportunity is in that general area. Where the exact setup is could be different on different winds, different days, or whatever the case is, and then using the correct access to get up to that new spot. But that to me is like, you're not gonna. I mean, you could hunt that during the rut, but to me, that's not really a rut spot. To me, that is like a mid-October kind of spot where it's like that deer is going to be bedded there, or he's not, or in the general area, because we didn't find a specific bed in there. I guess we did, but it wasn't like,
there's no hair in it, right? Like indent, there's poop in it. If you're talking about the size of the indent, like I could have laid down in it. It was bigger than me.
Okay.
Yeah. It was big. It was just like, how often is he using it at this point? It's like, what other 10 other beds? But like, to me, that's the bedding area. Like he's living in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the giant we had that came through end of October. Yeah. Right. Or if it's the other one that we got over there, but then I got up over on the other side.
Yeah.
That had broken off his tine or whatever. I don't know which one it is.
And we have a same day pictures of him too. Like he was literally on another mountainside, and then also on a different mountainside. We both have photos of him from that day. So the travel is just so great too. Like they're definitely, like, the pockets is the biggest thing, and they're definitely coming into these good pockets throughout the rut time, and it's just being in at the right time, because really that day any of us could have possibly killed him, and we could have been on two opposite mountains. So.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, that's why, like, again, Aaron and I were talking about this as we were walking back to the truck, and I was like, to me, like around here, at least for like big wood stuff, and a lot of other people do it differently. Like, this is the way I found that I can, like, have encounters in places that are vast is just hunting dates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
using scrapes, and whether you're hunting scrapes specifically or not, but like using those dates of travel where they're either going to and from, or where they're hitting
what kind of
scrapes.
things they're looking at that time frame.
Right. And knowing that you have like a couple day window that they're going to be in an area, whether it's because does are coming in or whether it's because
whatever kind of food is changing.
Right. Yeah. I would say, white oaks, but
there are zero white oaks up there.
I have a couple marked. I have a couple marked. So none of them produced this year. So if they produce
you have
this
a white
year,
oak that produces around here,
that would be
it'll be
insane.
You'll kill a deer.
Yeah. I would really just sleep in my saddle in that tree for like 3 days, and you'll end up killing a giant.
You really
if that
would.
happens.
I would say
there's literally like even red oaks are.
Well, on that side there was like squat for red oaks.
There was no oaks. Yeah.
Yeah, there's about 3 or 4 big trees that are probably 100 years old that I have marked that are along that mountainside there. That if they produce, it's going to be.
Are they on top or are they further down?
They're more upper third and down.
Okay.
Nothing on the very top.
So we didn't walk that because that was something you and I walked together the first time I was out here because there was a buck bed that's.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
We didn't go down to that buck
too
bed,
far away from that area.
Yeah. So we didn't go down through that because we just. Well, that was about the time we got into all that like good stuff on the top. We were like, well, let's just walk this out because I've seen what's down there before.
Right.
And then there, it's like you just start to get on the logging roads and stuff like that because everything's just kind of wide open unless you hit like a brushy pocket.
Now, I was up last week and I did more the bottom section. I walked kind of all the bottom area, scouted that out a little bit more.
Anything good or anything you didn't see in the fall?
There's a spot or two that got me a little bit more excited. That's has a little bit more thicker cover regarding the different food sources. It's a little thicker. There's a little bit more kind of like swampy, wet areas that I liked a little bit more too because it gave a little bit more diversity. And there was definitely more sign in regards to droppings and stuff, which they all kind of look like more like does hanging out. But,
right.
And I actually had my dad in there early, or not, like probably October-ish time frame. He went in there and did bump two doe when he went in. So that kind of got me excited that they're kind of in that area. So I definitely think now with my focus on finding those does, it'll play more in a factor. And I did put a camera in that area a little bit later in the season because I didn't really find it until the fall. So when I did put it up there, I ended up getting a nice buck on camera beginning of November that was walking through around like 8 or 9 a.m. So definitely bucks are cruising that edge there to look for does.
Yeah, and the does definitely seem key here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, it's just
they're key anywhere, but like anytime you find the concentration is when you're finding the other stuff too.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And then where do we go from there? We
dropped down, and that's where we ended up checking out like the patches of like carpet pine as we're going through.
Yeah. Well, because we were trying to think.
We were trying to think of who said carpet pine matters.
Yeah, we heard some. And maybe I was just misremembering because Aaron says there's this carpet pine. He was like, "Should we check that for sheds?" He's like, "I feel like someone at some point said that, like they like to eat that stuff and they'll find sheds there or whatever."
Yeah.
And for some reason, I felt like I heard Johnny Stewart say that.
I'm pretty sure it was the Johnny Stewart.
Yeah.
I know he's big on the ferns, like eating the.
Yeah, and I don't remember.
I like ferns. I've always looked for
because I can't remember if I said it to him because I remember I was talking to someone about it and maybe I was just misremembering. Maybe we looked at all those carpet pine patches for nothing today. But even if we did, that's fine because we ended up finding like there. So when you come off that point and you drop down, I don't know what, like halfway down.
Yeah, we were halfway down easily.
If you go
halfway down for sure.
Yeah. If you go to the right or if you walk back toward to go back to all of our cameras.
Yeah.
And you wrap around that point a little bit, there's a nice bench that kind of like pops out. You don't really see it on the map, but like when you walk along, like I just could see like the contour of it as we were walking. I was like, hey, that looks like a little bench over there.
It's probably 70 yards, 80 yards long, maybe.
Yeah, it's not super long, but like we walked
narrow. Yeah.
We walked along it and found a really good scrape. And then it started like, again, all those pieces started coming together. It's like, all right, there's scrape there.
Yep.
There's a clear place that they're using to travel.
Yeah.
There's the top where we found like the diversity, where we found the buck bed. There's all the sign down below. It's like, all right, all this stuff is kind of stacked on top of each other. And so Aaron ended up hanging a camera. In that
Yeah, we hung a camera right there too.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So
that'll be a real fun one to go
Yeah.
get. Just FYI, because coming out of that sucked.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
We both were kind of like, why'd we hang a camera there?
yeah. I was like,
It was
that's a year-long
super steep.
soaker right
Yeah,
there.
that's why
it
I've
was
never
super
actually checked
steep.
any of your cameras on that other mountainside. I'm like, every time I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go check it. Then I just look up and I'm like, I don't think I need to
Oh
check
my
it today.
goodness, dude! It was coming down. Oh, I thought we were gonna fall a couple times.
Yeah, it was not nice.
Gnarly.
Yeah, and then my knees started hurting again.
So then, I mean, really from there, we kind of got back into the area where all the
Yeah.
scrapes were and stuff.
Now, did you guys go to our like the secondary spot where when me and you were up in the summer that we hung a couple
didn't.
cameras?
We didn't go there because we did do an afternoon stint. So this was
Yeah.
I mean, this
This was all
like
by, like, noon,
Yeah,
one
this was
o'clock.
before noon.
Covered
And we-
that area by noon.
So we ended up actually just coming back to the trailer to get something to eat because I forgot to take any food or anything with me.
We left out the part where we got down to the bottom and walked through the hemlocks. And then, back to the beginning of our story, Clint steps over a shed.
Okay.
Yes.
So this full circle. So
Full
we're back
circle.
to the
Full
circle.
shed now.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Full circle.
Yeah. So I totally forgot to bring any food or anything. I left everything back at the trailer. So
It's all right.
and I ate half of Aaron's food when we took like a small break when we got to the top of the mountain. So I was like, you know what, let's run back to the trailer real quick. We're making good time. We'll get something to eat, reload up on some snacks, maybe grab some coffee real quick. So we did
Yep.
that and then headed back.
It was a good move.
Yeah, it was a good move. It was required. I thought maybe I should get some more toilet paper because I was dropping bombs all over the
All
timber.
day.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna be scouting and be, oh my god, look at these huge droppings.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if they'll find any.
Yeah.
There's some corn in here.
let's just say we did some fertilizing and it was of the spray variety.
You'll have to remember to message First Light for your warranty on your.
Yeah, I was like, man, these base layers, they ain't wicking.
They ain't wicking.
Oh man. So anyway, we come back here, grab something to eat. We head back over, and now we're going back up to the other side. So I had a camera inside that one spot.
One where all the velvet pictures were.
Yes.
You had a cell camera up
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
cell
up
camera up
that
there.
way.
And I have one on that logging road
Yeah.
that I got
Dude,
a bunch of daylight pictures of.
And
in
I
the fall.
never was up there really at all on that side. So this is all kind of your adventure this past
Yeah.
the last summer and
So
everything.
we had
in
found
fall.
a bed there in the summer above.
Yeah, and we had that nice buck that used
Well, down
that
on
we
the
never
bottom.
at
at
the
the end,
bottom
Yeah.
that we never really got, and he kind of
No,
disappeared.
you might
once
have
the
had
Yeah,
fall
we had him
ended.
in
Yeah.
velvet in like July and
July,
August, I
And I
think.
think I had him
17th.
September
You had him in
early,
September,
right after
yeah.
shedding
Yeah.
velvet, and
Yeah,
that
and he
was
was a
about it.
giant. It was a big deer.
yeah, he was
Giant.
huge.
So anyway, we ended up headed over there. We checked that camera where we got all those velvet pictures. Nothing on it. Like I was just curious to see if there was any shed bucks that come through there or whatever. Batteries died, so I changed the batteries in that. But it had been there for a year. I put it
Yeah.
there last April, I think.
Yeah,
Pretty
May.
sure.
I think you came
May
up here
maybe.
May.
Yeah, so it's been almost a full 12 months on video mode.
Yeah.
And then we walked up. There's a trail that kind of goes up from there, like a deer trail that kind of heads up to where that
Yep.
bed was at that Aaron and I had previously found. And there's a logging road that's up there, and that's where I actually hunted in October when I came up, and I hung a camera there in October.
Okay.
And I sent you, I think, all those videos because there was
Like
a
that
bunch
giant
of
Yeah,
Like
when you
pointer,
checked them,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that giant 6-point
Mhm.
that was in there, and there was like the one with the broken brow from the other side.
Yep.
Was over here, and then there was another really good.
There was one nice
10-point
8-pointer you had
or
too.
8-pointer. Yeah, I can't
That
remember what it
actually I
was.
had him on like the next kind of drainage over.
Okay,
I had him on camera when I went through my inventory and stuff.
nice.
I just had a picture of him. So
Yeah, so there was 3 or 4 really good bucks that were using that in daylight, all from like the 4th of November to like the 7th or 8th. There was like
Yeah.
a 3-day window where like there was just
They
like
were
a
all in
pile of daylight imagery. And for me, like Aaron and I were talking about this. I was like, man, if I don't know anything else, and if I'm not in Kansas this year during the rut, I was like,
spend those days there.
I will be here and I will be sitting at that spot
Yeah.
from
Yep.
the 4th to the 7th.
Yep.
Because if someone just sits there those 3 days,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Every day.
I was like,
I mean, there's
you will
gear
kill
on it
someone.
every day.
Yeah. And so, we pulled the camera. Well, I changed the battery.
Yeah.
I didn't even change the batteries in because it still had like
You didn't
almost
have-
50%
yeah,
battery
it
left.
was pretty cool.
And I'll probably change it like sometime during the summer or whatever. But the we looked at the camera videos when we got back here. There's some deer. There's a bear that's using that. A huge coyote. Like
Oh,
that
real
thing is
big.
so big. It looks like
wolf,
a wolf.
maybe they
It's
came down
huge.
from Colorado. They're moving.
Yeah.
Right. That was one like where you could have convinced me because that
was
was a big
huge.
dog. And then a bobcat that is ginormous.
I have
Real
a
big
coyote and a
cat.
bobcat too.
Do
Maybe
you?
I wonder if it's the same ones that
Might
are.
be because this thing was
It's a
giant.
great video of it too.
Yeah,
It's
that's
freaking
awesome.
huge.
Yeah, I'll show you. But so we checked that real quick, but then the reality was like I'd never walked the rest of that logging road out to kind of get up to the top
Yeah.
and see. Yeah, I'd been to the top, but just where I'd placed my cell camera. I hadn't really been up there and done a whole lot of really scouting around or anything necessarily.
So do you think like was there? Well, you said that fourth to the.
Look how big that thing is.
Oh yeah.
Looks like a
a
freaking.
puma. Jesus.
I know. Wait till he turns to the
we're talking
side.
about
Like
the
he'll make a
bobcat.
left, and when he makes a left, you'll see just like how like stout he is. Turn.
I mean, 75% of the Pennsylvania population would say it's a mountain lion, but
Right. Well, he's got the docked tail, so
yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Mountain lion that got its tail caught in the
guy's tail
trap
cut
or something.
Yeah. That's what
definitely
happened.
mountain lion.
Yeah.
But do you think like you said the 4th to the 7th was the most kind of daylight activity of multiple bucks coming by? So I would assume that they were probably searching for does and everything. Do you think there was more does kind of in the first spot compared to the second spot, or do you think like there was a good mix of doe families on both mountains?
So definitely doe families on that, based on the videos that we got.
Yeah. I would
There's
say
plenty of does.
I would say over on the side where I have all those videos of in daylight, because I'm actually getting. I should say this. I don't know if there's more does. I would say that if there are either more does or there are does that are more consistently using that particular area,
Right.
Okay.
because I'm getting even now during late season, like when the weather got shitty and stuff like that. Like I was still getting videos of does
Does,
coming
yeah.
through there. And so they're bedded not far back behind where that camera is.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where, but I can
they're-
guarantee you it's probably not any more than like 100,
There's no.
200
Yeah.
yards away.
I want to say there was no specific time either. They were just
Yeah.
any time of day.
Because I would say the first spot, 75% of the photos you're going to get are more so of bucks than you are of
Oh,
does.
100%. Yeah. Yep. Because from the time that I hung that camera, and I want to say I came up like the second weekend of October, I think is when I came up.
Mhm.
From that point forward, I really didn't get any decent bucks in daylight on camera there until like the very beginning of, oh yeah, it's a big coyote.
Blackface or something.
But I didn't really get any bucks until like beginning of November
Yeah.
or any decent ones. It wasn't like they were hanging out. That's a big bobcat,
Or maybe the same one.
probably. But yeah, so I would say that they're using that specific spot
Yeah.
more consistently.
Very.
But it's funny because it all ties into like the edge of the other cuts that are on the bottom and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So after that, we changed the cameras, took the SD card, and just headed up the hill after that to fix up your cell cam.
Or just to check it because it had a solar panel on it, but I figured the batteries were probably shot in, so I wanted to just change those out.
So the difference is you usually access that from the opposite direction from what we did today.
The other side from where that camera was, we had all the velvet. I go
Right.
to the actually opposite side where you park.
You go
where
up
I park
the
my
other
truck,
side
like
of it.
that edge.
Yeah, and
That's
you
where
go
I
up that edge.
through.
So, which is ended up being the way that we came out. But because we walked, really just checking out something new. We noticed a little bit of a vegetation change. We found a lot of laurel, and made a pretty good edge. And we found a scrape on the outside edge, and decided, we'll just kind of like we'll go out, we'll check, we'll fix up the cell cam, and then we're gonna take a pass back through this, and then a pass back to get back down to the truck.
Okay.
So fixed up the cell cam. There's a brand new scrape. Well, not brand new, but from the fall scrape. On
There was two right around the cell cam. There's one
yeah.
right behind it, and then there was
one
one
nice one right behind it. Yeah.
off to the left
Yeah.
and in front of it, but like out of view to where it's too
Out of
far to the
view of the
left, to where
camera.
it's like the
Yeah.
camera's
Yeah.
not gonna pick it up.
Okay.
So we did a pass through this. We were doing a pass through this laurel, and we're like, oh, there's a nice rub. Oh, there's a nice rub. Oh, there's another scrape. There's another scrape. And at the same time, he's like, oh, I was like, Clint, you got to come down here and see this scrape. He's like, oh, you got to come up here and see this scrape.
And they were like 15 yards apart.
Yeah.
10 yards apart.
The one I found was a little bit tucked in
Into the laurel.
closer to the further away from the edge of the laurel.
Yeah.
But it's huge. I mean, it's probably
the biggest scrape I've seen here.
It's 6 feet long.
Really?
Yeah.
6 feet long and, foot or two, well, not a foot wide. It's probably 2 feet wide.
At least 2 feet wide.
Yeah. And it's just got a licking branch that goes the whole length of it and just has all these snapped off branches along the whole thing. So we freshened that up and hung a camera there.
Yeah. I tried in vain to hang a cell camera there, but I could not get any.
We were getting like a spotty bar every now and then.
Yeah, just not enough for my camera to consistently get it. So
Yeah.
we stuck a regular camera on video mode to pick that up. But that was awesome because, I hadn't really spent any time up there, and I didn't really know that change of vegetation was there. Because when I hung that cell camera there, it was actually really a hang on the whim. Where I was like, I'm just going to go up this edge and I'm going to hang it. And it was at the end of a day. And so I just kind of got up there really quick and was like, all right, I'm going to put this up and then get out of here. And then we started getting like bucks on it, although it was nocturnal, but we were getting bucks to kind of gather inventory. And I was like, well, I'm just going to leave it here, and not really. I really didn't make it up that far. Well, I didn't make it up that far at all, like during hunting season or anything like that. And so this was really the first chance to go in and try to look around. And, we ended up seeing some rubs and, it was either that or head back to the other side. We wanted to go up along that private line that I've talked to you about to get to the other side. We just didn't get there today. We were like, you know what? Let's spend our time and check this patch of laurel out and see if we can learn anything more here because we know more about the spot across from it.
Yep.
This is directly across from that. So it's like now we have like a little chunk that we feel like we've dissected and we have a decent beat on it.
Yeah, because I think we had a good starting point last year of kind of activity, but definitely we needed to kind of expand our range. So I definitely think that your first spot that you went to and then going back and kind of expanding where you kind of were at last year definitely is going to play dividends in
in this laurel patch. I mean, there were probably 7 really good scrapes in it. Yeah. And probably 10 overall. I mean,
and more rubs. I don't even know how many rubs were in there. There was a bunch. Yeah. That laurel patch is probably only, I don't know what, probably maybe 200 yards long. Yeah. Maybe
80 yards wide. It goes down the one side, so they have something to get out of steep wise.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. I mean,
that was it.
In that point,
because we headed back to the truck after that point. Decided we drove around for a little bit, but
because there's that one swamp that we want to get to at some point.
Yeah,
we're gonna get back there.
Yeah, we are. I have high hopes for that spot.
Go deer back there.
Good luck getting it.
Oh, yeah, don't call me.
Don't call me. Yeah. That's a solo mission there, homie.
I know I live close, but I'll be like, I'm out of the area for the day.
Yeah,
I'm practicing.
Tom will be in.
I'm at work.
California.
Yeah, California again.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be far enough away that where it can't be like, just stop by after work.
Yeah, right, maybe.
Get me some beer.
Yeah. We called Tom or text Tom after we got back. Was like, hey, you coming over to the trailer? If so, bring a sixer.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I'll stop.
Yeah. And the results, the dog hasn't really moved much.
The dog is dead.
Comfortable. Yeah. He's comfortable.
Yeah, he can be a she. It's cool. We got him cut off.
He did.
It's 2022. Whatever he wants to be, he can be.
He did good today, man. He was a little pissed at the end. He was like way ahead and like.
He was so
like,
far.
Are you coming or what?
Yeah. Well, he gets fed every day at the same time at like 4:30, and like he knows when it's time.
We got done around 6 p.m. probably.
Yeah,
5:30.
Yeah, I mean we didn't get back here till, when I text you, whatever time it was, like probably close to 7 or something like that.
So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you never make it up again.
Mm-hmm.
All spring, all summer, it's now the hunting season. Do you think from today's mission that you have a good plan of where you'd go, like just say October and then November?
Yeah, and actually we mentioned that. I was like, I felt like today
I have a hunt plan.
Yeah, I have a hunt. You could hunt off the plan.
I couldn't hunt the whole season here right now. I mean, I would certainly do some scouting on days and stuff like that to try to figure out some more stuff. Well,
let's just put it this way: mid to late October.
Oh yeah,
Thanks.
Mid to late October, and the rut. There are definitely places to go.
Yeah, I think early season around here is going to be tough unless you just get a beat on a buck that, I mean, it's like this anywhere, I guess, but you get a really good beat on a buck where he's laying his head consistently.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's just, the area is so vast around here, unless you have something that's keeping him in a spot for some reason, you know. But I think you get into that mid-October time frame, you know, where they want to start laying down a little bit of sign and stuff like that. You know, those are some of my favorite times to hunt now, is like that, you know, 13th through like the 18th like time frame.
Yeah.
It's like they'll start making a few mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, the pressure's really not on yet. Most people aren't in the woods, you know, because it's the lull. They don't want to spend time there, so you're not dealing with people. And I don't know, I just feel like they've sensed that, and so they move a little bit more freely, and they make their first mistake of the year usually in that time frame, and you just have to figure out where's that mistake going to be. And that to me is like playing the long game with trail cameras does that for me. It's like that's when I get back to like, what are my dates? You know what I mean? Like, when did I start to see this deer? Now, it was a little different this year because the inventory that we had for like that mid-October timeframe wasn't in daylight this year.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so
it was October-ish.
Right. So it's like that's part of what today's mission was. Is like, well, can we figure out directionally that we know that deer are coming from a specific area or from a specific direction? Can we kind of backtrack and figure out maybe where they're spending that daylight time in October?
Yeah.
And then can we get cameras up? And look, we may not kill one in those spots this year, but if we can get some data on, okay, all of a sudden out of nowhere, there was like a 3-day window where this deer particularly became really visible.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, all right, well, is that going to hold true? Well, the next year I'll hunt it and find out.
Yeah.
And I'll put cameras up, and I'll either see it live or I'll see it on a camera and be able to kind of say, yep, this is going to hold true, or no, it's, you know, no, it's not.
Yep.
But I feel like I definitely have a hunt plan. Like the first spot where I hung that camera in that transition area.
Oh yeah.
To me, that's an October hunt all day long. That's good October and November.
Well, and the second place, the place I hung that first camera, like, that's a no-brainer.
Oh yeah, 100%. That would be the second spot, and that is just based on like, you know, if Aaron has made it up and hunted it, or if you've hunted, if you had the right wind and you hunted it a day, like then I would shift somewhere else. But if nothing else, if like if I hadn't filled a tag, if I don't fill a tag at home and I'm not in Kansas, I know where I will be the 4th through like the 7th.
Yeah, and that's what we saw. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. Those were all great days, and then that 14th, 15th was also another great 2 days. And I had some photos in like the very last, like the 20th or 21st. I don't know when the end of our archery season was.
Let's listen to this real quick. Ooh,
that's crisp.
Yeah, it is.
That's who do we give a shout out for this one? This is
who's this? It's pretty
Goose
good.
Island.
Goose Island Hazy.
I think that's New York.
Beer Hug.
Isn't Goose Island New York? 6.8 alcohol by volume. What's this even called? I don't know.
Hazy Beer Hug. And there's like a bear
hug
with like sunglasses on. Like
there you go. I'm into
EDM concert look too.
Yeah.
Bears should have sunglasses. I mean, why should they eyesight be not
I spent so long
UV
looking
protected?
at the attendant at the gas station came over to me and was like, "Do you need any help?" I'm like, "Just trying to find a good beer for my friends." He didn't help at all, but
he didn't help at all. No.
So I just grabbed this box.
Nice.
Yeah, it was overall a good day, man.
Yeah,
good stuff.
I feel
good.
I feel really good about.
We ended the day on a really good note.
Yeah, mm-hmm. yeah, because it was looking pretty bleak. Like once we got off the top of the previous place.
Yeah,
and you know, we're walking out the top of that logging road, and it's like, all right, this is just like a bunch of the same.
Yeah, and optimistic because we had found some good stuff. So
but that laurel patch was a nice little find.
That's great.
Because I would hunt that.
Oh yeah, I would hunt
like for sure. You know what I mean? So I mean, in my opinion, I know of 4 places I could go hunt, like setups, not just like areas, but like setups where I could go crawl into a tree, you know, or hunt off the ground and be like, I think I'm in a good spot.
And I think the biggest thing is diversity. It's huge in these kind of settings. It's just finding that diversity and just going from there to put a plan together where you're gonna
I mean
pick up the most sign.
That's what I've kind of learned up here is that you just have to, and I kind of know this just academically because you do this anyway. It's like you're always looking for that diversity of habitat, the edges and stuff like that. But I think in the past,
maybe it wasn't as key.
Well, I think I spent too much time trying to make a spot look good because I'm spending time in it, as opposed to just going like today. we would start walking. We would kind of walking slow and seeing if we see any like rubs anywhere, in that open stuff. And as soon as we like went like 50 yards and we didn't see anything, we're like, let's get to the next spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's just go, and we would just book it to like where we finally found some diversity, and then slow down.
Sense.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think, is there anything else to add, or are you good? Do you think we covered everything?
Yep, I'm good.
Yeah. How about you? You good?
Yeah.
You stoked for this season?
Oh yeah, can't wait.
Already? I know.
Yeah, I'm like thinking about when I'm gonna get up next and walk around again. So can't wait.
Yeah. We got a fair amount of cameras out too, so we should have some really good intel this year.
Honestly, even just camera season is just as much fun as hunting sometimes, especially when now we have some intel to be like, oh, like did they survive? Are they still around the area? Or just to see what other new deer might pop up. So
Awesome. Well, that is a wrap for the show. Thanks everyone for listening. All right, folks, that is a wrap for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for listening. If you haven't yet, please head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star rating, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast. And while you're at it, head over to YouTube and give us a sub there as well. I'd be super appreciative if you do those couple things for me. And before I shut this thing down, I need to give a big shout out to our partners who continue to help us make this podcast possible. Tethered, Spartan Forge, Exodus, and Skull Brew Coffee Company. And until next time, we'll see y'all.